Hi everyone, it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets and welcome to another Sketch Sunday. So this week's sketch comes from my favorite things. I don't have it on my phone, so I'll show you the sketch that I've roughly drawn out. Here it is here, and this is kind of how I get my ideas. I kind of just draw out the sketch and then I write some of the materials that I think that I want to use, and then I actually cut the papers and then I start placing things around, and then I change my mind about a million times. So that's why sometimes these sketch challenges take me forever to do, because the design that I have in mind when I put it on paper is not the same design that I end up with once I start placing things around. So let me show you guys the supplies that I'm pretty sure that I'm going to use. So I'm going to be using two of my favorite things background stamps. This one is the burlap, it just has a little bit of texture on it, and I've been using this a lot lately. And then this one called background, HB background. So it's just happy birthday words. Pretty sure that I'm going to be using both of these, and if you can't already tell, it's going to be a birthday card. The first one is burlap background. That was what it's called, from my favorite things. And then I decided to use the cupcake stand from the stamp set called Cupcake Cutie. So use that. And I did this for another card, so I already have a mask cut out, and I will explain a little bit more about that once we get to that part, what I'm going to be doing with that. And then I have already die cut some of these sequins. Now, if you can see some of these have the lines in them to make them look like the 3D sequins, and then these ones are more of like the flat sequins. So I've die cut those, and I will explain a little bit more about that once I go through it. You can see them, they're all over here. And then I also am planning on using the SC Wavy Greetings that says "Let's Celebrate" down here. That's the greeting. So I'm planning on using all of those. I hope so. I hope this is, I hope it's going to turn out okay. So those are the items that I have planned to use. I'm just going to try to start putting some of this stuff away, because already I don't know what happened to my cupcakes. Oh, there is my cupcake stand. See, I have things all over the place, and it's hard to keep track of. So, to pick out the colors, I kind of wanted this to be a monochromatic card, and for the most part it's going to be, with the exception of there's going to be a little bit of black on it and possibly a little bit of brown for the cupcakes if I decide to color them in. So what I did was I went through my ink swatches and I found 3 purples that I wanted to use, and they are My Favorite Things Hybrid Ink Grape Jelly, My Favorite Things Hybrid Ink Pure Plum, and Hero Art Shadow Ink Mid-Tone Grape Juice. So those are the 3 colors. And again, if you wanted to see what the colors look like, the reason that I did this, if you guys haven't seen that video, my ink swatch video, this is grape jelly. It looks pretty similar. This is the plum, pure plum. Not too bad, not too far off. And then this is grape jelly. It's really far off. That's a really dark purple on the lid, and it doesn't come out that way. So, and actually there's not really much of a difference between the pure plum and the grape juice. It really isn't. Once I've stamped them out, at least not from the sequence that I found. Okay, so now that all the supplies are out of the way, and I'm going to start with the card base. So I'm doing a top folding card, 4.5 by 4.25 by 5.5 inches, and I cut a piece of white cardstock that was 1/4 of an inch, I'm sorry, 1/8 of an inch smaller than the card base. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that happy birthday stamp and take it out of the package and ink it up with the lightest color. So for the background stamps, when it's something big like this, what I like to do And this is going to be in the grape jelly. Let's ink up the stamp. And instead of trying to take the stamp to the paper, I'm going to take the paper to the stamp. Just because I find it's a little bit easier, I have more control and I can center it up a little bit better. And then what I do is I take a scratch piece of paper after I have positioned this kind of where I want, and hopefully it's straight. Just go right to the paper. And then what I do is take a piece of scratch paper on top of it because I do not like to get my hands inky at all. I can be a princess when it comes to that kind of stuff. I do not like to get inky. Especially since I'm getting ready to go out to dinner. We're going out to celebrate my new job. I'm supposed to start tomorrow, but I don't start until next week. So, but we decided that we wanted to go out to dinner tonight, so I don't want to have inky hands at dinner. That's why I'm trying to do this video and get it up early before we leave. Okay. So, and what you'll get is the remainder of the inked stamp. And that you want to do is carefully lift it and make sure you don't put it back down so that it doesn't get double stamped. And this is what it looks like. It came out really, really good, actually. This one came out very well. And it looks, for the most part, straight. And then what I can do is I just have like a damp paper towel, and then I just wipe around the edges. The good thing about this is most of the ink will come off because it will go onto that scratch piece of paper and not onto your hands. So, the first part of the layer is done. First layer is done. So then what I want to do is now kind of want to make markings. So this is kind of how I want to make sure that it goes from end to end. So I want to have it placed on the paper here before I stamp my cupcake stand on here. Because what I want to do is I want to make sure that from the sketch it goes from one side to the other. So I want to line up the cupcake stand, place it where I want it, make sure that's going to look okay, and then I have my Fiskars stamp press on the other side. Just want to pick it up, and of course the paper came with it. And I'm going to ink this up in Memento Tuxedo Black ink because I may be doing some coloring with some alcohol markers. I'm not sure if I'm going to use alcohol markers or just some of the regular markers that I have lying around. I'm going to press it down. And go over all of the areas. Okay. So the stamped image is going to look very crooked right now because that's the way it's going to go onto the paper, onto the card front. Just going to wipe off that remaining ink. Okay, and then place this to the side. So now I'm going to talk about the mask. So I did this a while ago. I did it for a birthday card. I think it might have even been for my mom. I'm not exactly sure. But what I did was I stamped the image onto a piece of white cardstock, and then I cut around the edges. I fussy cut around them. And then I took some of my Zig 2-way glue pen. It was one of the drier ones, and the ones that are newer, or ones you haven't used as much, will be pretty blue at the end. Once it starts drying out, it'll start to change to a real light blue, almost a white. So what happens is when you are putting Zig 2-way glue onto any item, when you first put it on, the glue will be blue. But if you let it dry for a couple of minutes, it'll turn white. so it makes a removable ink, or a removable, gives you a removable image. It gives you some stickiness, but you can also remove it. So that's the great part for making masks. So when my Zig 2A glue pens are pretty much dry, all I do is I save them and then I use them to create masks for my images. So and then the nice thing about this is you've created the mask once, and now you don't have to recreate it. You can just use the mask that you have. So what I want to do is I actually want to use the burlap piece now, and I want to use the mid-tone ink, the middle ink, I should say, of my colors, which is the Pure Plum. I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the other background stamp. I'm going to ink it up. So this is the burlap stamp. And like I said, I've been using this a lot. I'm doing some projects, which I will show you maybe next week, because I have some stuff that I can't show right now. But after next week I'll be able to. Okay, so I'm going to make sure the mask is on there nice and secure. And it doesn't really matter because the burlap is a repeating pattern. So you can place it wherever you'd like. And then go over the whole image, whole piece of paper. Okay. There you go. So now you are going to have a little bit of white space around the image. That's fine with me. That doesn't bother me. If it bothers you, you can try to cut the mask a little bit closer. You can actually, there's a couple different things you can do. You can use some rubber cement over top of it, masking fluids to mask it off, and then you can get the image, and then you can color in between the cupcakes. That doesn't bother me that there's some white around the edges and in the middle of the image. So right now, this is what the card looks like. And now at this point, we're going to round the top corner, because in the sketch, the top corner is rounded. So it is the top left corner. So while I'm at it, I'm going to take my We Are Memory Keepers corner chomper and use the 1/2 inch side and just round the corner. It's just a subtle effect, but it's nice. Okay, so before we go and put things on there, I want to cut this off. So I want to attach this piece to the front of the card. So I'm going to take my ATG gun and I'm going to put some tape. I may need more. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut off the excess pieces. It's hard to see because it's white on white, so I apologize, I have to put this up close to me to make the cuts. Okay, so there you go. There's the piece right now. And let me see where my card base went to. No. So there's what the card is going to look like for right now. Now you can leave this image plain or you can color it in. And I haven't decided what I'm going to do. So, but I know that I'm going to keep that mask. So I'm going to put ATG tape on all of the the background for my card, and I'm going to put it onto the card base. Now, if I thought about it, I probably would have gotten some of my distress inks and gone around the edges with a purple color distress ink, just to give it a little more depth and dimension. But I did not think of that, so, and all of my purple distress inks are upstairs. Just make sure that's right down. Okay. So, now what I want to do is the Let's Celebrate, and in the sketch, it's like a banner shape, but it was kind of on an angle. So I'm not actually going to do it on a banner, I'm actually just going to do it like this. So I'm going to use my Fisker stamp press again, and I'm going to ink it up with the darkest purple ink that I have. Which should show nicely over the background, hopefully. But yeah, it's dark enough. If not, we'll have to cut a banner shape to put over top of that. Which is why I chose the lightest color to be the background color and the darkest color for the sentiment. Plus the sentiment is nice and bold, and the background is pretty subtle. Yeah, that works very nicely. So, let me just clean this off fairly quickly. Right now. Okay. I forgot to clean off my burlap stamp. Let me just do that real quickly. And the funny thing about it is when you do the technique that I did with the burlap, you can actually see the cupcake stand, or the image that wasn't stamped on your stamp. It leaves an impression. Okay, so the last thing I do before I want to color in the cupcake stand, if I decide to do that, is there are 3 sequins on here. So I was going through my things of sequins, and I was just trying to find a couple that I really liked. Kind of just place and I am terrible with sequin placement of things like this. I really am. I don't know what it is. I just can never get. Some people are just so good with it, and it can look so good. And then I do something, and I'm like, and I try to do the exact same thing that they did, and for some reason, it just never turns out the same way. So, let's see. What do I think? I'm trying to see if I can find a different color sequin, because honestly, these two, it's pretty funny. The 2 darker colors, when I did the sequins, look so much alike. So, and the sequins kind of are just going to go wherever they decide they want to. They want to get glued down. Now, the nice part about using the paper sequins versus using real sequins is that it's not as heavy. It's almost more like a 1-layer card, and you can easily mail it. It doesn't have much bulk to it. And all you need is paper and some ink. You can use colored paper, colored cardstock, or you can use white cardstock like I did. And then I just took my ink pads and ran a streak down it, and then ran this through my Cuttlebug, and I got all different shades of purple sequins, so I can use them for any project. So here's the card so far. I think I may color in the cupcakes, but if I decide to do that, I will post a picture on my blog of the completed card, but I kind of like it like this right now. So here it is. Here's the final card. I think I'm going to leave the inside blank. So let me know what you think. Should I have colored the cupcake stand in? Should I put something on the inside? What do you guys think? So thank you guys so much for watching. And if you have comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below or private message me. If you're not a subscriber, feel free to subscribe. And I will see you guys soon with another video.